Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
I can't tell you when's the last time I got so serious about something like this Slapshot remake discussion. And we've had some really good ones coming in here. Jeff in Winnipeg, Camilla says the Baldwin brothers for the Hansons. Wayne in Victoria agrees with my Zach Galifianakis as Denis Lemieux. Denis Lemieux, continuons sa saison. Who would be Dickie Dunn? I feel like Elliot Friedman should play Dickie Dunn. But I think that Billy Bob Thornton is a slam dunk as Reg Dunlop, because this is a very, very important role. This would be the role that might define Billy Bob Thornton's career.
It's the role.
It's the role. And I will go along with Billy Bob Thornton as Reg Dunlop. That's how big of a fan I am of his.
How about that?
And of Reg Dunlop's, and nobody has come close to anybody else.
Somebody mentioned Steve Carell. Steve Carell maybe is Jim Carr.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
He could be Jim Carr. That works for me.
No. The guy whose idea this was in the first place, Robin Wildy, he's watching in PA. He says Liam Neeson as Joe McGrath. Liam Neeson's way too cool to play Joe McGrath. Way too cool.
Somebody mentioned.
Hey! John in Winnipeg. John Ohm. Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
As Joe McGrath.
Yeah. Slam dunk.
Perfect.
Oh, how about that? Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Woo, right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. You'll notice a difference. You'll notice something different. We're coming to you live from the beautiful Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. You'll see the video shots a little later on in the program. Calgary's entertainment destination. Our spring residency sets sail today, and we'll be here, well into the snow melting. We have a lot of fun to get to. Our co-host, as always, Darren Moose Dupont, joins us from the NHL's Bermuda Triangle. And Moose, you're going to have to, well, you're not going to care, but my live guest here today, Jamie Macoun, two-time Stanley Cup champion, is going to have to forgive me because I am sweating like a hooker in church, as they say. Running around, first day, getting stuff ready, but we got it. Our boy Miro's got the sound working. We have a live studio audience, Moose, and that includes a guy sleeping down here in row 2. And my goal for the next 2 hours is to wake him up at some point. Long night gambling here at the machines.
Let's do it.
Tables at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. So yeah, I've been running around, getting everything set up, and we're ready to go. Jamie Macoun will be with us later in hour 1, carrying over into hour 2, and then from SiriusXM NFL Radio, Zig Fracassi, to talk stick and puck as well as NFL. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please? The other thing is, to quote the hockey people or the Canadians, this bunny hug that I'm wearing, which I bought at the Centennial Cup, you were with me, it is a warm mother. It's built for minus 40 grade, I believe. So here on the stage at the Grey Eagle, it's hot up here. By the way,
Eagle Resort and Casino.
Thank you to Calgary's entertainment destination for having us here. By the way, we love it here. We love the staff. It's fantastic. They seem to like the show, and I love that. Did he hit the horn? Did he hit the horn?
Yes.
Am I that out of it? Did he hit?
Yeah.
Can you hit it again? Who's on it, Bryce?
How about that?
We're gonna start with NHL leftovers, but listen, it is the Rod Pedersen Show in a sports center where people argue over the order of what things are talked about. It is the Rod Pedersen Show, and I want to say this. Air Canada, as I was flying home from Fort Lauderdale to Toronto to Regina, lost all of my bags, all of them, Darren. So I was a little riddled with anxiety Sunday morning, but I ended up getting them. And as I said in my commentary today, baggage handlers are like referees. They have a tough job, and nobody makes a mistake on purpose. So I got my gear, and I'm not going to sit here and roast Air Canada today. They took great care of me. They really seemed to be upset that they lost my stuff. They ended up finding it, and that includes my John Ohm gong. I got everything here. And I made it to Calgary in time to watch the Calgary Flames and the Senators, which I'll get to in a moment. But everybody in Manitoba is talking about what went down in Tampa Bay. Nino Niederreiter and Morgan Barron scored second-period goals, and Winnipeg held on to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-2. They swept the weekend, the Jets, in Florida. Connor Hellebuck played back-to-back nights. So they're going for broke, and I love it. Nate Schmidt also scored, and Hella made 33 saves. For the Lightning, Alex Killorn and Anthony Cirelli scored, and Vazzy finished with 19 saves. That's one game, and then here in Calgary, Elias Lindholm, Jonathan Huberdeau, and Rasmus Andersson each had a goal and a helper to lead Calgary past Ottawa 5-1. It was a party in the Dome last night, Moose. I think it was a sellout. There weren't many empty seats. I was happy to see my friends. So the good news is the Flames won. The bad news is for them, the Jets also won, so they're still 6 behind for a playoff spot. Tim Stützle scored his 32nd goal for Ottawa. They're like Justin Trudeau. They're just not ready. They look good, but they're just not ready. The Ottawa Senators. So that's some of what I'm sorry, man. It's an Ottawa thing. So those were two of the games from Sunday in the National Hockey League. How about you? What did you come away with? Your Leafs had a big win over the Oilers Saturday night.
Calgary's made you funny. I mean, you're always funny, but Calgary's really got you going this morning. I love it.
Happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Yes, the Leafs' big win. You know, if you watch the early part of that game, the first period, you wouldn't be that excited. I mean, the Leafs went up 1-0, and then bang, bang, Oilers had 2 before the break. And you're like, here we go again. But no, 4 goals in a short span in the second period, 7-4 win. I mean, that's a big one. I think Edmonton has quickly become one of Toronto's bigger rivals. Even though they don't meet each other all that often during the season, I think there's a nice little rivalry there between Leafs fans and Oilers fans because they both think that they have Stanley Cup aspirations. And, man, wouldn't that be something if they met in the Cup final? I mean, we're getting way ahead of ourselves there. But it was a fun weekend for Leafs fans. And I got the Jets on today, Rod, because of the back-to-back wins. Hope the Jets fans are happy this morning.
Well, I remember how upset I got on Friday. We were broadcasting from Florida. And I got upset because they were all after Kevin Cheveldayoff. And our good friends at Winnipeg Sports Talk, as I was surfing YouTube for videos yesterday, I saw this clip that had thousands of views from Winnipeg Sports Talk. Chevy on the hot seat? Is he today? Hello, Winnipeg. You want to fire your GM today? Like, I get it. Fans are going to be fans, but it's too much. You wonder why I don't pay attention to what the fans are saying. This is why. And interestingly enough, here in Calgary, I don't think people are still even, I don't think they think the Flames are going to make the playoffs. However, it's a good day for Jamie Macoun to come down because the Flames are coming off a big win, and they're heading out on the road for a couple. So those are our NHL thoughts. We're moving through the quick 6 show topics here fast. Before I go to the Brier, and by the way, bravo, curling and Canada. People were really into the Brier final and the semifinal on Sunday. That's awesome, man. I don't usually follow it until the championship weekend, and I think there's a lot of people across Canada that are the same way. But while I was running around setting up all this gear and stuff, I overheard you guys talking about something about using a movie title for your NHL team's season. Explain.
So we were going through the power rankings, and the Score has done their power rankings, and next to each team, they describe the season based on a movie. So the Boston Bruins were the Leo DiCaprio movie, Catch Me If You Can. Nobody's going to catch the Bruins, right? Nice. You go down to the Leafs at number 4. Their movie was Groundhog's Day. They've lived the same season over 6 years in a row. Great season, first-round exit. Can this be the year that they escape Punxsutawney Phil, right? So Groundhog's Day. The Winnipeg Jets were my favorite. Top Gun Maverick were the Jets. where they're hoping that the second time around of the Jets getting into the playoffs and going on a run can be better than the prequel, which is the same with Top Gun. So there were some good ones that were floated around by the score this morning.
Okay, when I see that, when I see that question for anything, use a movie title to describe blank. I always use Dazed and Confused. Describe your NHL team season. Dazed and Confused. Describe your life story in a movie title. Dazed and Confused. Describe your sex life with a movie title. Dazed and Confused. It answers everything.
It does. Although, you will like the Vegas Golden Knights, Rod. The Vegas Golden Knights was Kill Bill Volume 1 because they said Jonathan Quick is out for revenge and to get everybody who scored him in the past. He's 3-0, a .939 save percentage. It's coming to the Golden Knights, so I thought that one was good, too.
There's Leaving Las Vegas. That was the one with Elizabeth Shue and Nicolas Cage. Honeymoon in Vegas. That's it. That's the one. That's the Golden Knights movie title. And for the Florida Panthers, Dazed and Confused. Right?
I didn't look theirs up, but I will for you.
It works for everything. Edmonton Oilers, Dazed and Confused. Right? It works for
Florida Panthers
902.
was Cats.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's a fun little thing out of the gate to have coffee and talk hockey with here today. Jamie Macoun coming up here at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, and an hour two, Zig Fracassi from New York via video chat. So to the Brier. Again, didn't watch a rock of it. I did watch the highlights this morning on SportsCenter. However, Brad Gushue is the winner of the Canadian Men's Curling Championship. He beat Manitoba's Matt Dunstone 7-5 in London, Ontario Sunday to successfully defend his title. It's Gushue's fifth Brier crown in the past 7 years. Gushue and teammates Mark Nichols, E.J. Harnden, and Jeff Walker will represent Canada at the Worlds next month in Ottawa. It's led to our poll question today, by the way, for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center. Capital has dealerships all across the Canadian prairies and the state of California. Who's the GOAT of Canadian men's curling? Who's the GOAT? Your options are Brad Gushue, Randy Ferbey, Kevin Martin, or the Richardsons. We quite simply put the Richardsons. Sammy and Ernie, the Saskatchewan foursome that won all those championships. Is that up on YouTube yet, Clark? Do we have a sample size on that or no? Okay, he's going to. So you can vote on that. Can the people with some gray around their temples and can the blue hairs help us with that one? Not that you have to be old to be a curling fan, but it certainly helps from the historical aspect. Was there some controversy, Darren, that you knew of? I was seeing on social media some controversy with regards to the Brier and the playoffs.
I don't think there was. I mean, they might have talked about, the Dunstone, the three-ender that, really broke the game open and sealed the fifth Brier for Brad Gushue. But you know what? At the end of the day, I think start to finish, Matt Dunstone's rink was the best rink in the Brier. They were perfect through the round robin and through the playoff. They had not even played in a 10th end till they got into the Page games. And then when they did, they ran into Brad Gushue. And Brad Gushue he's an Olympic gold medalist. He's an Olympic bronze medalist. He was a 4-time Brier champ. And you played him twice, and Gushue beat you twice. So I think we put to bed who is the best right now. It's Gushue. He really earned it. But Matt, what a great week for Matt Dunstone. He put himself on the map, and he's right there.
Yes, and I hope that he does not end up being the Buffalo Bills of curling. Man, we love Matt Dunstone. We love us some Matt Dunstone, and I hope that he does come home with a championship. But he's kind of like, again, with the Bills, they were really good, but they ran into some really good teams, like the Dallas Cowboys, right? Matt Dunstone's good, but Gushue's clearly better. And that's a tough one. So we're asking, I see people just joining us late, and that's okay. Even though coffee does start at 10 a.m. Mountain, I'm just saying. Colin in Ottawa says for the Ottawa Senators, the playoffs are a bridge too far. We're saying, what's the movie title for your NHL team season? Allie's checked in from Texarkana, and I want to know what she says for the Dallas Stars. There's a movie about Dallas that I'm not going to mention here. Jason in Red Deer says, how is Russ Howard not on that list? Because he ain't. Listen, folks, we're supposed to be in a good mood on the Monday morning, not punchy. And you know, like John in Edmonton's picked about 3 fights with me this morning, and I'm not having it. So John, in Red Deer, back away from your phone or your keyboard or however y'all do it. Stop, or you're going to face a 24-hour ban. John, stop picking fights here. Moving on. Placeline Phoenix. Tyler O'Neill of Maple Ridge, BC, and Jacob Robson of Windsor, Ontario had 4 hits each to lead Canada to an 18-8 Mercy Rule win over Great Britain in their first game of the World Baseball Classic at Chase Field on Sunday. The 18 runs scored are the most Canada has ever scored at the tournament, the World Baseball Classic. The skipper, of course, is Ernie Witt, and I didn't even need to look it up to know who was going to be managing this team. It's always Ernie Witt, the former Blue Jays catcher and great Canadian. He said, quote, "I'd like to score 18 every game we play," said Ernie. "It will make it a little bit easier. Great Britain, they just kept battling back." Listen, who among us didn't see the schedule and say, we're playing Great Britain in the first game? This should be easy. And it was. Canada also capitalized on a tournament record tying 16 walks from Great Britain pitchers. They can't even hit the strike zone. But Edward Julien of Quebec City, Owen Casey of Burlington, Ontario, homered for Canada. Freddie Freeman, Otto Lopez, and Abraham Toro had 2 hits each. I have not looked ahead yet to the next Canadian game. Do you know when it is? Or Clark, do you know when it is? That's okay. That's all good. You don't know, Darren? Clark wasn't sure?
No, I got to look it up. But it's got to be in the next couple of days.
I haven't looked ahead yet. Okay, couple minutes left in this segment. And by the way, we'll go quickly into segment 2 and turn it a little more over to the viewers, except for John in Edmonton, who's trying his best to annoy me this morning. And I'm not going to let it happen. Number 4, Alabama is the top overall seed in the NCAA tournament after cruising through the end of a season clouded by a murder case. Kansas, Houston, and Purdue grabbed the other top seeds heading into March Madness. Action in the 68-team tournament begins Tuesday. March Madness gets into full swing Thursday and Friday with 32 games spread over 8 cities. The Final Four is set for April 1st and 3rd at NRG Stadium in Houston. You and I, Moose, know that stadium well. March Madness, the month where Canadians pretend they care about NCAA basketball or have been following it all year. We don't, but I'll remind people, you don't have to, that you won the bracket put together by Enterprise Sports in Philadelphia a couple of years ago. It was like a couple grand US in your jeans. Have they contacted you to go in this year?
They have. I have not entered yet, but I think I'm going to fill out the bracket today. Of course, I got to go into it every year. But yeah, and you know what, to be honest, I actually have been watching, you won't believe it, I've been watching some college basketball throughout the year because I've got the ESPN package. It's easy, it's in front of me, and following some of the teams. So I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Well, by the way, it is amazing. I love NCAA men's basketball, but look at everything else that we got going on. We haven't even got to the football yet, and we've given our thoughts on the NHL weekend leftovers. We got to get everybody else's. What movie title fits your NHL team season? While we're at it, in the break, can you look up Montreal? I'd like to hear what theirs is. So everybody write in with that. We'll be right back. We're live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. It's the first of our spring residency at Calgary's entertainment destination. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, iHeartRadio, and your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
It's March, it's madness! Capital GMC Buick Cadillac has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Capital has Sierra 1500s with rates starting as low as 1.49%. Over 400 new vehicles in stock. Or drive away in a GM certified pre-owned vehicle. They all come with a 150 plus point inspection and a 3-month warranty. It's March, it's madness! On now at Capital GMC Buick Cadillac, Saskatchewan's #1 GM retailer, capitalgmc.ca. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You are looking live at beautiful Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Yes, winter's still here. I hope that coming in mid-March that would not be the case. But it is what it is. It is Canada after all. 902-518-3033. Slightly different locations. Still your favorite show here on Game Plus Television, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. I see Rhino Radio's checked in from Atlanta. Shout out to my spirit animal from the state of Georgia. Let's bring the Moose back in. Stephen in North Dakota has written in on the text line. I appreciate him doing so. He says, greetings and hallucinations from snow-covered Minot, North Dakota. Who irritated the ultimate referee, Mother Nature? Really good question. We have another few weeks of winter at least. But you know what? I can handle the snow. Believe me, I can. But that minus 40, nope, not doing it. Not doing it. Did you look up the Montreal Canadiens movie title for their season?
Yeah, and please let me give you Vancouver's afterwards. Montreal's is Home Alone, okay? Because they say they've been without their child, Cole Caulfield, for the whole season. And if they had Cole Caulfield, he'd be able to foil the burglars of the other teams. It's a little bit of a stretch.
Not funny.
For Montreal.
Yeah, not funny.
Vancouver's is not a stretch. Vancouver's is horrible bosses.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's really good. That's funny.
Yeah.
We've got people showing up here now. They missed off the top of the show. So who put this out? The Score or ESPN? Or
The Score.
Was it?
The Score.
The Score. Give the movie title for your teams your NHL team season. Ryan in Saratoga, New York says the movie title for the New Jersey Devils, The Many Saints of Newark. Okay. Carlos in Indianapolis says my ignorance of hockey has left me dazed and confused. I'm telling you, it works for everything. Kevin the Medium has checked in. He says, good morning, RP peeps. He's a Canucks fan, and I still go back to that. That's the best one, Horrible Bosses. They put some thought into this.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Jamie, make yourself at home. Jamie Macoun has showed up, so we know that we will have at least one live guest here. Thank you, Cooner. What else do we have here? Jason in Red Deer says, Calgary Flames movie, Bull Durham. This is the thing today, Cooter. What movie title describes your season, your team's season? Right, so you can let him think about that for a while, Moose. What was the Leafs? Oh, Groundhog's Day.
Groundhog's Day.
I like it.
And the Flames, we didn't talk about the Flames. It is Speed 2, the sequel, where they did a major recast and the movie flopped. So, kind of like the Flames. They did a retool of their roster, and it's been a disappointment.
The Score came up with that for the Flames?
Yeah.
There's got to be something better than that. Somebody said Raging Inferno. Jason says 3,000 miles to Graceland. No, I still think that Honeymoon in Vegas works the best for the Golden Knights. Come on, that's not even... I got to see that list. I want to see every team's movie title. By the way, Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg writes in. He says, hey, everybody, looking good, Rod and Moose. Nice Centennial Cup hoodie. Can't wait until it hits Portage this May. Thanks for the reminder, because we've been talking to the Centennial Cup host committee in Portage, Manitoba. They're almost sold out, but let's remember, Estevan last year, where I bought this thing, they were sold out 2 months in advance in one of the biggest rinks in all of Junior A in Canada. So what they said in Portage was they want to market to hockey fans from Winnipeg and Regina. And I said, what a coinkydink, our two biggest cities for viewership. So I would suggest go to Centennial Cup, Portage Terriers website, and click on the package, and we're hoping to see you there at the Centennial Cup for a second consecutive year. Anything else, Moose, before we move on to the other topics and wrap up the Quick Six and welcome in Jamie Macoun?
No, let's keep moving. Let's see what else you got.
Jamie Macoun, by the way, whose family had a town named after them in Saskatchewan, which they call Macoun in Saskatchewan. He says they're saying it wrong in the town. The town says the Macouns are saying it wrong. I stopped and asked. True story. Football buzz here in Week 4. Week 4 of the XFL. Listen, saying it again. I flew from Fort Lauderdale to Canada. They lost all of my luggage and then drove here Sunday. I didn't watch any XFL games. But from what I understand, it's getting better. They had over 40,000 in St. Louis, which I don't think should surprise. That shouldn't surprise anybody. They had NFL football there for a real long time. They got it. Was it the indoor stadium, the former Trans World Dome? I think they call it the Edward Jones Dome now. Did you watch any XFL this weekend at all?
I did. I caught a little bit of the XFL. I thought it was okay. The broadcasts were good. I saw Paxton Lynch play. I didn't watch a lot of the game, but I did watch a little bit of it. And you know what? I enjoyed it. It's football. I'm a football guy, football fan, so I had a good time.
Do you think we'll ever get over this senseless fighting over which is better, the XFL, the CFL, the USFL? I think it's very distasteful to me, the fighting that goes back and forth amongst the leagues. And by the way, the XFL's no better. They trash the CFL just like the CFL trashes the XFL. I think it's very juvenile to me.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're ever getting over that. As long as the leagues exist, you're going to have the comparison of which league's better and which league is valuable and which players are there. Yeah.
You know what? I think it's a football thing, because going back to the Centennial Cup, let's just examine that for a second. We sat in the lobby of the Days Inn, which was like the hub. The referees were there. All the teams were there. We sat in there and had coffee, and we talked. Oh, and the BCHL, which isn't part of Hockey Canada anymore, but they said they play this more wide open style, and Alberta's rougher than Sask, but they don't sit and trash each other. And you don't see the AHL talking down the East Coast League or the WHL talking down the Q. Never. Why do they do it in football? I don't understand. I've never understood. Tell me why.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's because these leagues pop up and change more often. You don't see the hockey leagues popping up with new leagues all the time and cutting leagues and growing. You know what I mean? You don't see that change maybe as often. And so everybody's accepted that, you know, where your place is in the hockey hierarchy. But, yeah, in football, it's you know, which league is better? Where do I want to play if I got the best shot at the NFL? And it's an argument, whether it's the USFL, the XFL, or the Canadian Football League, as to really who is the number 2 league behind the NFL.
Well, hey, speaking of football, very excited about the upcoming CFL season. As you know, there are some CFL alumni that work here at the Grey Eagle. There's a lot that come here as customers, I guess you would say, gamblers. So this is a tremendous football town, too. And we're excited to be here for the start of training camp and into the kickoff and all the rest. By the way, updating the poll today for Capital Auto Mall, Universal Collision Center. Capital has dealerships all across the Canadian prairies. Who is the GOAT of Canadian men's curling? And I'd like to think that we've got the right people here. There are some that saying we don't even have the right Final Four. But Brad Gushue is leading with 43% of the vote. Slightly, 41% saying Kevin Martin. 9% say the Richardsons. That's Sammy and Ernie, longtime friends of mine. And 7% for Randy Furby. Gushue leading at 43%. Did we get the right 4, Moose? I'm starting to question our curling knowledge on that.
Well, somebody mentioned Russ Howard.
Right?
Well, it should,
yeah.
and Gushue sits alone as the number of championships, but a couple things to consider. You know, he does have Olympic bronze. They say he doesn't have Olympic gold, but he does. He won in 06. He wasn't listed as the skip. Russ Howard was, but he threw skip stones, and it was his rink. He formed it, so he very much earned that. Russ was there calling the game, winning the Olympic gold, until Gushue beat out Russ Howard. Russ had the most all-time wins, or was tied with Kevin Martin for most all-time wins in Brier history, like game wins, not Brier titles. Kevin Cooey's got 4 Brier titles. You know, there's a lot of really good men's curling teams that could be in the conversation.
Well, it's a fantastic debate when you think about it, and winning is the thing. That's why do you think we were so devastated here? 2009 Grey Cup in Calgary, when I'm calling the game and we lose the championship on the last bloody play of the game, and some fans had the audacity to say, oh, well, get them next year. We count these things. Imagine winning a championship and then having it pulled right out of your back pocket on the last, but hey, all our fault. There's no doubt about that stuff that you do not get over. And when it comes to Briers and Halls of Fames and that kind of thing, you count championships, rightly or wrongly. That's the way that it is, and that's what we're doing here with these men's curlers. By the way, in the XFL, I see that my beloved Orlando Guardians still haven't won. What are we now, 0-4? Fire the coach. Isn't that how it goes? I don't know who the coach is, but they lost 44-16 to Houston. Seattle beat San Antonio 15-6. St. Louis in that game, 40,000+ show up at Edward Jones Stadium in St. Louis, and they won 24-11. We're saying that was the first pro football game since the NFL left, whatever it was, 10 years. Why are we surprised that there would be a huge crowd in St. Louis for this? I'm not.
No, it's a, what do you want to call it? An underappreciated football market, an underrated football market. St. Louis wants to keep auditioning here for another NFL team, and why not? I mean, when they had the Rams and they were winning, things were good. I mean, obviously you need sustainability, but yeah, they're going to keep showing up here and showing out, and hopefully they just get behind their XFL team and stop waiting for the NFL to come back.
Hey, it's a tremendous football town. I got a lot of great friends from St. Louis. They just want to go watch pro ball. They appreciate it. They don't get distracted by the NFL.
Yeah.
They love football. You know what I mean? It's not like Canada. Allie in Texarkana, she's a Stars fan. She says the Stars movie title is The Matrix Trilogy, because the first movie was great, and then the second and third movies tanked. Ooh, okay. Edmonton Oilers movie. Says BW and Edmonton. Oilers movie, Snow Day, starring Chevy Chase. That's not even funny at all. As I say, Dazed and Confused works for everything. Hey, you've got 2 minutes left before we won't welcome you back till hour 2. We got a quick NFL update or what? Where are you at on
Free agency has started. The Atlanta Falcons have signed a former Titan and Patriot tight end in Jonnu Smith. And I was trying to tell Clark this before, but he wasn't listening to me. Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts is a really good 1-2 punch. I'm not saying it's Gronkowski and Hernandez in the Patriots days, that good, but Pitts and Jonnu Smith could be a real problem for opposition defenses in Atlanta, and they locked up their tackle as well to a big deal. So the free agency is open. The new NFL season is open already, and there's going to be lots more ahead.
Well, how about that news with the Atlanta Falcons? And what's new since Jamie Macoun was here last, I believe, we are on the radio live in Atlanta right now. WQEE, your southern home of sports and talk. So two-time Stanley Cup champion Jamie Macoun joins us next. Thanks, Moose. We'll see you next hour.
See you then.
Yeah, we're also live on the Game Plus television network, carried across Alberta and BC on TELUS Cable Channel 924. We're live streaming on YouTube and iHeartRadio.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
It's March. It's madness. Capital Ford has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Save up to $7,000 on a brand new F-150. They have over 150 available right now. Or drive home in a new to you used vehicle. Plus, Capital Ford offers the highest guaranteed trade-in value, or they'll give you $500 cash. Get your hands on a new ride before they come to their senses. On now at Capital Ford. Visit CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The SJHL raffle is underway with your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side, courtesy of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Tickets are available now until April 23rd, with the draw taking place live on SJHL Insiders April 27th. 1 for $25, 3 for $60, or 10 for $100. But there are only 5,000 tickets available. Get yours today at sjhlraffle.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, you're looking at it. Look at that gorgeous facility. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination right in the heart of the foothills. We'll be here through the spring into summer, hopefully, as we talk sports from Calgary's entertainment destination. We love it. Well, very excited on our opening day here to welcome two-time Stanley Cup champion Jamie Macoun to the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. What a great day for you to show up to talk after a Flames victory, and a resounding one last night, Jamie.
Well, you know what? There haven't been as many victories as we'd like this year. And, you know, the number one question I get asked, well, before the game started, like, is Sutter still going to be here next year? You know, like they're starting that talk already. And I go, I'm not in charge of that. But you know what? The reality is, I mean, you look in Winnipeg, when their goaltender's playing well, Winnipeg wins. When Calgary's goaltender's playing well, we win. It's that simple. And unfortunately, we've probably had, you know, everybody asks, 7 to 10 games that we should have won in regulation that we didn't. So there's, you know, possibly 20 points that, and it reminds me of going way back when we had Kiprusoff and Iginla. Right, we really had a two-team and you know,
two-player team.
Yeah, Rob McGear and those guys would be going, "What are you saying?" I was on that team, but the reality is they were stars. They were real stars, and they carried that team. And for years, everybody goes, "We're really close." We weren't that close. I mean, we got close, and perhaps we should have won in 2004. But the reality is we had two superstars that carried the team.
Yeah, you weren't consistently good.
Yeah. And so right now we have a team that has a lot of pretty good players. They play a very solid system, and we're outplaying and outshooting most teams most nights. And yet, you know, when you look at the score, we're only scoring 2 goals or something. Well, it's tough to win in the league right now if you're only getting 2 goals a game. And I don't know what the actual stats are, but I did look quickly before we got on, and like our leading scorer, I think, has 24 goals, and then the next scorer is got 20. You know, you either have to have somebody who's getting that 40, or a couple guys getting 40, 50 goals on your team, or you need to have like 5 guys that are all in the 20s getting closer to the 30s, because that's how you win. And I mean, Calgary still has a very solid team. They've got great players. Definitely an adjustment for some of the players this year playing under Sutter. But having said that, if we have good goaltending, our defense is good enough to win, and our forwards play hard enough that we can win. And hopefully that doesn't piss anybody off, but that's the reality of it, right?
Well, I tell you what, I told Jamie that this is our first day here, and he was my first call. You're just an honest guy, right? You're going to say it the way it is. And I love that he went right into the deep end on this Flames season right off the start. 2-time Stanley Cup champion. I'd have a tough time believing anybody doesn't know, but Hamilton, Ontario product, 1,128 games in the National Hockey League with the Flames from 82 to 92. Part of that huge trade to the Leafs, and was there from 92 to 98, and then to Detroit where he won a Stanley Cup. So the guy knows a little bit about winning. He knows a little bit about this town as well. But let me just back it up. We got lots of time here. You had a great time last night in the Saddle Dome. And if you bet goaltending, if it wasn't for the gaff by Kiprusoff, he'd had a shutout. Or Markstrom, sorry.
Well, to be honest with you, I was looking at it, and I don't know what happened, and those guys obviously talked later on it and said, like, I gave it to you, and I gave it right back to you. Like, what are you doing? And I always say the last person that should be having the puck under control of their stick is the one with the big blade, right? Give it to the guy with the smaller blade. And the reality is, you know, it happens. And maybe he thought he was doing the right play. But you know, he played well. The goaltending was great last night. There was a few breakaways. And that's what you expect from a goalie as good as he is. And he has struggled this year for whatever reason. Everybody in the league has good games and bad games. The problem is when you're a goalie, everybody notices every mistake, right? When you're a forward and you make a mistake, you still have the other forwards and other defense that are going to help you, you know, cover up that mistake. But when you're a goalie, it's all on your shoulders. And interesting thing, I was in the one of the boxes last night with Mike Vernon, and you know, we're chatting a little bit about the game, and you know, we both acknowledge that the game's totally different than it was when we played. I mean, the sticks are different, the shots are faster. I mean, the way the goalies play now, like, when's the last time you see a goalie stack the pads? Eh? It's rare.
You can't. Yeah.
And so, in many ways, I think it was more fun watching our game because
way more fun.
The goalies were, you know, smaller. The goalies had to do more, you know, gymnastics. Now a lot of them, they're so big, they get down, and if you're a good shooter and you can get those top two corners, you're going to get 30 goals, 40 goals, because the goalie can't stop them when they're already down. So, anyways, it was a great game to watch. It was great for the fans that showed. And I think it was more or less sold out. And and hopefully, if they can get that consistency in net, then it really changes the mindset for the rest of the players. Because instead of like, I'm going to pinch as a defenseman, but if I get caught, I mean, it's almost a goal automatically. Now they're thinking, I'm going to pinch, and if I somehow get caught, I still got a goaltender that's got a 95% chance of stopping that puck, right? And so that's the big difference.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing you weren't like the people from Calgary that I'd heard, because I was following it from Florida all winter. They've had this team written off for the last month, and I'm thinking 16 games now left, I think? And 6 points. That's a lot of hockey.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, like we talked about a little bit earlier, there was a few games that we should have had that, you know, suddenly if we had 5 or 6 or 10 more points, no one's having this discussion. The reality still is one thing. If we have really good goaltending the rest of the way out, we still have a good chance of making the playoffs. If we have a couple off games, I mean, because, like you said, there's so few games left, or if some of the other goalies go on a, what do you guys call it, the heater, or go on a heater?
Go on a run heater,
yeah. Then obviously we're going to have a great last 16 games, but maybe come up short. So it really depends on a couple of the other teams that are ahead of us. And if they have average hockey and we play great hockey, we have a chance of making it.
I have to say this, we have 2.5 minutes left here, and I think you can answer this in that time. Just with Vernon last night, I mean, longtime fan since he played for the Wranglers, and my dad worked for that team. We sat here with Peter Marr and debated who was the best Flames goalie of all time, Kiprusoff or Vernon, and Pete said, Mike won a Stanley Cup, so he wins the debate. That's what it comes down to in sports, does it not?
Well, I hate to agree, but I agree, because until you win, you haven't won. And Kipper, was incredibly good for such a long period of time. But, that happens. I mean, you think of other great players that have played in the NHL or any sport, and they're on a team that doesn't have the people around them to go forward. Like, anybody who played for LA that was good. Like, think of Bernie Nichols, right? Like, he's kind of a name from the past. Heck of a player, got so many points in so many seasons, and yet, you're not winning anything in LA at that time. And so you kind of write off all those guys. And like I said, Kipper, unfortunately, he played on a team that didn't have a lot of solid players. And one of the crazy stats last night that came out from one of the guys I was talking to was saying they were comparing the Calgary Flames versus one of the other teams. I think it was Detroit. And at one point, going back before they had the salary cap, Calgary Flames had like a $39 million budget, which is still a lot of money, but Detroit's was $90 million. Like, so you're going like, how come Detroit's better than Calgary? Well, they're spending $60 million more dollars. And that was the big difference.
What era, roughly?
That would have been in the 2000s.
Just after you left.
Yeah, just after. Yeah, because I made so much money.
You weren't the big money.
Yeah,
we will take a timeout. Lots to unpack with Jamie Macoun here live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, and we will open it up to your questions as well. 902-518-3033. And in hour 2, Zig Fracassi from SiriusXM NFL Radio. We'll return in a moment. We're live on the Game Plus television network, live streaming on YouTube, iHeartRadio, and on your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, The Key.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersenshop.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
It's March. It's madness. Capital Ford has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Save up to $7,000 on a brand new F-150. They have over 150 available right now. Or drive home in a new to you used vehicle. Plus, Capital Ford offers the highest guaranteed trade-in value, or they'll give you $500 cash. Get your hands on a new ride before they come to their senses. On now at Capital Ford. Visit CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Back live at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination. It is daytime sports talk here on Game Plus TV and WQEE. And we got two-time Stanley Cup champion Jamie Macoun with us, which he's been nice enough to carry over into hour two. And we'll get into more of a wider discussion across the National Hockey League than just this Flames thing. But I haven't seen Jamie since last November, and I wanted to recap this. It was November that you did the Lanny McDonald roast, first of its kind. Congratulations, by the way, on how awesome it was.
Yeah, you know what? It went well, and we raised a bunch of money. Obviously, it's all for charity. And in this particular case, about half the money comes back to the Flames alumni. And the alumni gives it out to about 8 different charities. And then the other half was going to a Cure Cancer Foundation. So, everybody
no
wins.
kidding. Guys, I'm getting a wicked echo in my ear. Are you? Or do you have the mic pressed down? Okay. All right, appreciate it. But I will say this. Okay, we got it. It's good now. But you Lanny's daughter, Leah, you said?
Leah.
She got up at the end of the night and she says, I'm very disappointed. In front of, what you have there, 900 people or more?
Yeah, there's...
You guys didn't roast my dad enough. I thought this would be a major problem going into it. How do you roast a guy? Lanny's like a saint.
Well, you know, everybody goes like, especially when you're young, getting into the league, you're kind of looking up at the older guys. And if you're on a good team, and like I was, you have a guy like Lanny McDonald, and it's like a father figure. Even though it turns out, now that we're old, he's only like 8 years older than me, right? But like, honest to God, like Al McInnes and myself and a couple of the younger guys, we'd be looking and we'd go like, how old is Lanny? Like, he looks like he's like 50.
He looked old forever.
Yeah, and he retired at 36. And we forget about that, too, because he probably could have played another year or two. I'm sure somebody would have had him. But great guy. Family was good. And we had a team that we had 3 or 4 guys that were older, that were married, that had children. But quite a few of the guys were single, young guys, you know. And so come Christmas time and Thanksgiving, we'd get invited to the various homes. And I was lucky enough to get invited out to Lanny's a few times when all the kids, including Leah, were either not even there or were this high, right? Like, so it was a great learning experience. I learned how to, maybe I didn't do as good a job, but I learned how you're supposed to behave as an NHLer. And if he just followed his example, everybody would have been perfect.
Well, you know, it's interesting when you talk about how the game's changed, and clearly it has from your time. But to win a Stanley Cup, I wouldn't think the concepts have changed.
No, I mean, it still comes down. I mean, I hate to say the coaching, but you have to have good coaching. If you have a coach that somehow has split the, think of Justin Trudeau splitting the country up. We're all divided right now. But if you have a coach that somehow everybody appreciates, you don't have to like them. You just have to respect them. And I think the teams that win, they respect their coach. And also you have to respect each other. So when you've got a guy, and a great example is Lanny McDonald, had been in the league, 16 years or something, or longer than that by the time we won the cup. He played, I think it was 16 games in the final, playoffs. Here's a guy that you look back now and you see Lanny's, cheering after scoring a goal and raising the cup. You forget about the fact that here he was, our most veteran player, our most respected player, and he was willing to, well, I say willing. The coach said you weren't playing today, and but he got onto the bike and he worked out and got ready for the next game and hoped he was ready to play. So that was something that's always stuck with me, the fact that a guy that's had so much going for him and has done so much for not only NHL, but for the Calgary Flames and the city of Calgary, sat a couple of games and, hey, you know what, doesn't matter. And he came through the dressing room, boys, we got to win this game, right? And I'm hitting the bike and I'm ready for the next game. And that's how he was. Now,
You said he was your captain? They don't have a captain now, right? Is that a problem, do you think, on this Calgary Flames team?
I'm not in the dressing room. I would say that typically it's easier to have a captain. What happens is that they sometimes rotate the A's and the C's around. And when I was playing back in the day, sometimes a guy would get an A, and you'd go like, oh, good for him. You know, like, he deserves to have that A. Other times you see an A or even the C go on a guy, and everybody's going like, what the hell?
How did he get that?
How did he get? Was he in the coach's office again? Like, what's going on here? And so you need to like pull the Band-Aid off, I think. And so like if it was December and they said, here's our captain for the rest of the year, some people get happy, some people maybe get a little upset. They thought they had a chance, but within a couple of days, couple of weeks, they've come to terms with the fact that, okay, I'll just be the C this year, and this guy is the A, or excuse me, the whatever letter it is, and then you move on. Right now, like I said, I can't tell you, I'm not in the dressing room. Maybe the guys love it, but I always like having a captain as, you know, someone that, first of all, when anything happens, he has to go talk to the media,
calm it all down.
Yeah. And you're having a problem, talk to the coach, right?
All right, guys, we lost control, but we got it back. 30 seconds are left. Jamie's good for another 20 minutes? Or start telling some stories. 902-518-3033. We'll get to your questions and comments when we return after this brief pause on Game Plus Television, YouTube, and your southern home of sports and talk. 99.1 FM, WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The SJHL raffle is underway with your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side, courtesy the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Tickets are available now until April 23rd, with the draw taking place live on SJHL Insiders April 27th. 1 for $25, 3 for $60, or 10 for $100. But there are only 5,000 tickets available. Get yours today at sjhlraffle.ca.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pride. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. Now, I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Woo, right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Hour 2 coming at you live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino in Calgary, Calgary's entertainment destination. They were nice enough to have us back. If you can believe, 21 weeks here last year in 2022, plus another couple at River Cree and Edmonton. And we're back again for the spring here in the beautiful gateway to the foothills. We're talking sports. That hasn't changed. And we have with us two-time Stanley Cup champion Jamie Macoun here. And we're going to get into the landscape of the National Hockey League in a moment. We were just talking about this show and what he's doing now. All you Ontario people watching on Game Plus TV, where we're carried on Kojiko and Rogers, go buy a car from his dealership. Would you say Orangeville, Ontario?
Orangeville, yeah.
Where is that? I'm apologizing.
Well,
I'm not an
off
Eastern
of Highway 9. And so if you go straight up 400 to turn off to the Newmarket, or you turn left and you go towards Orangeville. So great little town. Reminded me of growing up in Newmarket, where when I first got to Newmarket, it was like 11,000 people. And Orangeville is still relatively small. I think it's probably about 50,000 right now. But along Highway 9 there's about 6 or 7 dealerships, and all good people.
The $1 billion mile, huh?
Well, not me.
No, well, hey, Jake writes in from Airdrie, says, love having you back in our beautiful city, Rod and Show. Thank you, Jake. It's awesome being back. And what I said to Jamie was, remember Don Cherry's Grape Line? We're getting old, Jamie. Maybe people don't remember the Grapevine, but I just loved that show, and it was out of Hamilton. Don Cherry's Grapevine, and he'd bring in the NHL guys and talk hockey, just like what we're doing right now. There's nothing else like that anymore. And it used to be so great. You must have watched it.
I did watch it, and I was one of these guys. I was always so busy that they say, "Did you watch the game?" Well, no, because I was out playing a game, right, or doing something. But but I find, as a former player and as a sports enthusiast, that, and you hate to get into it, like Disney's having trouble because they went so woke, and now the old joke is, you go woke, you go broke, sort of thing, right? But I think the NHL is trying to find that line of being sure that they're taking care of all aspects of humanity, sort of thing. But still, you got to make it fun to watch. You got to make it fun to listen to. And when Don Cherry was doing the stuff with Ron McLean, it didn't matter where you were. You could be in a bar somewhere, and all of a sudden, shut everything down. Just shut up. We got to listen to Don Cherry. And he'd say something, maybe a little bit off color, or maybe a little bit off edge. But the guys that played the game, whether you're in the NHL or not, all went like, that is so true. That finally somebody's saying it. And right now you have so little of that. And to be honest with you, I don't know. I'm obviously not in charge of the televisions and the networks and stuff. But if they could be a little bit more honest, is what I'm going to say, honest, that I think they'd get a lot more viewership.
Yeah, but then you get a call from the team or the league. Yeah. By the way, Craig Campbell writes in from the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto. He says, Jamie Macoun, Newmarket Sports Hall of Fame member. So hello, Craig. Thanks for joining us today from the Hockey Hall of Fame. Okay, to the actual hockey, we could sit and tell stories forever, but who's in your Stanley Cup final? Excluding Calgary, because you live here, let's just say they're not. Who do you think's going to make it?
Well, having grown up in the Ontario area, I would love for Toronto to make it. But that East is so, you look at, Carolina is strong, and obviously New York loaded up, and Jersey's good, and Boston is good. And then you go down to Florida, there's 2 pretty good teams down there, although who knows if they're going to make it. You would have to say that it's either going to be New York or Boston is probably going to make it in the final on that side, but I'm cheering for Toronto. I think if they can get things going and just everybody get in sync, they got as much firepower as anybody. And like the Edmonton Oilers, they'd allow 4 goals a game, but they were going to score 5 or more, right? That was the idea. So if Toronto can get it all together, and their goaltending plays, they can't be average. You got to be above average as a goaltender in the playoffs. But if you get above average goaltending and just run, let's do it. Let's outscore everybody. I think Toronto can win it all.
I'll be honest, and I didn't tell you this. Jamie asked how the show's going. 25% of our audience is American, and I don't think, and they're new hockey fans, to be honest. To have a Toronto-Edmonton Stanley Cup would be something, and we're legitimately talking about it. And in the 90s, who would have thought that? No Canadian team was a contender, really? Not after the Habs won in '93.
Yeah, and obviously Edmonton has 2 of the best players in the league, and if McDavid gets going, and under the new rules and stuff, I know in playoffs the things get a little bit more loosey-goosey as far as the penalties being called, so you're allowed to hit and you're allowed to maybe grab or whack a little bit more, which has obviously been an issue for McDavid. But every single year they try to, make it a little bit more, McDavid style. And so if they really call the penalties, Edmonton's got one of the best power plays. You just know if they get 5 power plays, they're scoring 2 goals, right? And so you got to really watch out for that. But I'm not sure the rest of the league would be happy with 2 Canadian teams in the finals.
That's the tough part. Well, they might, but they wouldn't fix it. Right? If it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
You were a participant in the last time that happened, 1986. What a special time. But back then, you didn't think it was that big of a deal that it was two Canadian teams. It was the two best teams.
Yeah, well, it was in 86 and 89, right?
Right.
Montreal won in 86, we won in 89. And as a player at that time, and it wasn't as worldly, and you didn't have the giant contracts, Sportsnet or whoever, so it wasn't really a concern. Like, it was just the two best teams.
It is what it is, yeah.
And most of the teams at that time were on the northern part of the United States or in Canada. So a Buffalo team and those people would be watching it because they knew it was going to be good hockey. It's a little bit different now when you have the teams in Florida and 3 in California, and then you got Arizona, Dallas. But, I'm a firm believer that the best two teams, who, regardless of where they're situated, should be the ones in the final.
Question I get a lot, and I'll put it to you, is can the Boston Bruins be beaten in a 7-game series?
I guess we'll find out. You look at them, and they are kind of like we were kind of joking, or not, we're talking about earlier about, hey, if you have 6 guys that all are going to get around 30 goals, that's a far better team than 2 guys getting 50 goals, right? And Boston's that kind of mentality where they've got all these guys that are pinching in. They got a couple guys obviously getting points, but they are a team like right down to the last player. And if you're playing 7 minutes or you're playing 19 or 20 minutes, you're 100% into the game and you're 100% happy. Kind of going back to who should be the captain thing. They've got their captain, they've got their systems, but they've got also leaders that don't have letters on as well. And they are a good team. They're a really good team. The question is, can somebody else, catch them just a little bit off? Because when you have 2 solid teams in there, one game makes the difference. And if you have one goalie suddenly go a little bit weak or get a little bit injured or something that they're not going to tell the media, of course, suddenly the game's changed.
Colin in Ottawa says, didn't Vancouver make the Stanley Cup Finals in '94, Rob, the season after Montreal won the Cup? Yes, but we're talking about all Canadian Stanley Cup Finals, 86 and 89, as Jamie mentioned, and he was a part of both of them. Well, I guess we kind of looked at the landscape of the league, so let's go back to the Flames for a second. Like with Daryl, is that and he's known infamously as Daryl. When I say Daryl, everybody knows what we're talking about. Is it a love-hate in this town with him? Mostly love when they're winning? What is it?
I think probably 95, 98% of the people respect him, right? Which is different. You have coaches come in and they go, like, he's okay, whatever. You have guys. But I think he's earned the right to be respected. His style has obviously changed over the years because he's had to change with the game and change with the players and the attitude of the players. I mean, again, showing my age, back when I played, the coach usually was the highest paid person on the team, sort of thing, right? And so nowadays,
he's by far the lowest.
Yeah, you got 10 guys in each team that are making $4 million plus. How many coaches are making $4 million plus? So it's one of those things where if the team starts to win again, everybody's like, we knew Daryl had it in him. We knew that they would finally, he's good, he's really good. And if they lose, and I was at the game last night, and a couple of people asked me about that, and I said, well, you know what? He's not really doing anything different than he was a year ago or 10 years ago. And like I said, our biggest issue in Calgary has been our goaltending has been inconsistent. And if we'd been more consistent, we would be in the playoffs already, and no one would be saying anything about Daryl.
They're good enough to be, though, right?
They're definitely good enough to play.
Yeah.
They're a good team. We don't have a McDavid, or we don't have the 3 stars or whatever out of Toronto, sort of thing. But we've got good players, and they play as a team.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing is, I'm watching the game last night, and are you working for the team, quasi, or what is your deal with the Flames?
If I'm working, I forgot to pick up my paycheck.
Okay, my question is this. You're around the owners, and I just wonder, because here it's all Flames all the time, does that influence the owners, do you think?
The 4 owners that we have right now are all very successful businessmen. And they didn't get there by being, I was going to say stupid, but by being silly. They understand the game, and then really perhaps Murray Edwards, who is very tight with the NHL and is on the board of governors. He might even be the chairman, I can't remember now. But he's on that board, and he's highly respected. So as the old saying, you say, when he talks, people listen.
Yeah.
So, and he spends time in Europe and he spends time all around the world. And so he's getting a kind of more of a worldly view of the NHL. And one thing that the Flames have always done as a team, I'm not going to say it's right or wrong, is that owners have always said, hey, we're going to hire this coach and this general manager or this president, and they're going to run it. Are there some trades perhaps, kind of sent up the line a little bit? I'm sure it must happen once in a while. Are we going to trade away our best player? Well, let's see what Murray or what Allen or somebody says, right? But they've always respected the employees that they've hired, and so it's their team until it's not their team.
Right. Well, I guess the reason I ask is I think Brad Treliving has done an unbelievable job. Right. So I just wonder if the people think that Darryl should be fired, would the owners be influenced by that? And listen, you were here, i.e. in Alberta, when Wayne Gretzky was traded, and I want to ask you what you remember about that day. Now that I'm in Alberta, it comes up a lot. What did you think?
Well, it's one of these things with people. Where were you when Elvis died? Right. Where were you when this happened? Like I couldn't tell you the date, but I know where I was. I was playing in a golf tournament for the Motor Dealers Association of Alberta, and it just happened to be in Calgary. But there's people from Edmonton, there's people from all kinds of different teams that were playing in it. And then people were coming up to us and saying, hey, you heard Gretzky got traded. We're going like, whatever, buddy, like, have another cocktail. It's like, they're never trading him. And then like an hour later, it's like gets confirmed, and we're all looking at each other like, what? Like, why would they trade him? And obviously we found out that money had part to do with it. It was, in hindsight, it was a great thing for the NHL. It was maybe the best thing that ever happened to the NHL because, they got the excitement in LA, and then you built some more teams. And obviously, the NHL owes a lot of the expansions just strictly to that one trade. I can guarantee you, Pocklington did not have that in mind when the trade was made. It was the $11 million, I'm just guessing what it was. I think it was like $11 million and a few players back, and he wanted that. And the best part about the whole story is the guy that made the trade, the owner in LA there, he didn't have any money. Remember? And he ultimately goes to jail because he was a fraud. And but it didn't matter. Gretzky was already there, and that helped with the expansion of the NHL. And like I said, it was great for us because we didn't have. I mean, we knew we had to play against him as still 8 times a year because he's in LA. But he wasn't on that team anymore. And so that team that had, 6 or 7 Hall of Famers playing at the same time, very, very rare.
The reason I bring it up is simply there's an incident where the owner gets involved in team operations. End of story.
And makes a huge mistake, right? I mean, ultimately, if Gretzky had stayed in Edmonton, the chance of them having, instead of having, 5 or 6 really great years, they might have been 12, 14 years. You know what I mean? They literally could have been dominant for over a decade. And, because he could still score.
Yeah.
He still knew how to handle the puck.
Well, we only got a minute left, but do you follow the Leafs and Wings as much as you're alum of them? Or you're a Flames guy? Where's your heart lie on that?
No, I'm definitely a Flames guy. I moved back to the city, appreciate what the city offers and the style and the people. The people have a different mentality here than Detroit or Toronto. Not saying there's whining going on in Toronto, but there seems to be a little bit more attention to detail with the refereeing and all that sort of stuff. Why isn't this happening? Why isn't that happening? Here it's more like, hey, if you play hard enough, you'll win the game, right? Let's just stick to working hard, and so that makes a big difference.
Well, this has been awesome, Jamie. Everything I hoped it would be. I appreciate you coming down. Good luck with everything, and we'll see you at the rink.
I will be there, hopefully for the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm counting on it. I didn't come here to not watch playoff hockey. Jamie Macoun, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, joining us here at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Darren Moose DuPont joins us next, and then from SiriusXM NFL Radio, Zig Fracassi. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina. It's March, it's madness! Capital GMC Buick Cadillac has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Capital has Sierra 1500s with rates starting as low as 1.49%. Over 400 new vehicles in stock. Or drive away in a GM certified pre-owned vehicle. They all come with a 150 plus point inspection and a 3-month warranty. It's March, it's madness! On now at Capital GMC Buick Cadillac, Saskatchewan's #1 GM retailer, capitalgmc.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, RP Show continues on a beautiful Monday in the foothills, Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, the place to be. Do we have the Moose log back in, guys? Do we have him here? Okay, we can bring him in. I'm just going to rip off a quick sports update here. Team Canada plays the USA at the World Baseball Classic tonight in Phoenix, Arizona. Canada opened the best-on-best tournament Sunday with an 18-8 Mercy Rule rout over Great Britain. The U.S., meanwhile, lost 11-5 to Mexico. Moose, your interest level, scale of 1 to 10 for the World Baseball Classic?
2.5.
Me, 6.5.
Ah, good for you.
I mentioned that I've had friends play in it by name. Dustin Mulligan comes to mind immediately for Team Canada. Andrew Albers from our one of our favorite towns, North Battleford's playing for Team Canada, and I think it'll grow and grow and grow. World Cup of Baseball, basically. That's pretty exciting. So Canada versus USA tonight. Meanwhile, in Florida, the Toronto Blue Jays go for their 5th straight win in Grapefruit League play when they host the Boston Red Sox. The Jays 10-6 in spring training, coming off an 8-3 win over Philadelphia. The Leafs host the Buffalo Sabres in one of 3 games on the NHL slate tonight. The Leafs have won 2 in a row, 7 of their last 10. Sabres have lost 4 in a row. Elsewhere, Montreal, losers of 6 straight, host the Colorado Avalanche. And from the NFL, I think this came down Saturday, but the Miami Dolphins are acquiring all-pro corner Jalen Ramsey in a trade with the LA Rams. LA will get Miami's 3rd-round pick in this spring's NFL draft, plus tight end Hunter Long. This sports update for Landmark Cinemas in theaters now. Scream 6, following the latest Ghostface killings. The 4 survivors leave Woodsboro behind and start a fresh chapter. In Scream 6, Melissa Barrera, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, Jenna Ortega, Hayden Panettiere, and Courtney Cox return to their roles in the franchise. Scream 6 in theaters now at Landmark Cinemas. Okay. Whew. I don't know how much. I'm just slowing it all down here. I'm just, as Serena says, taking the puck behind the net and just stopping and setting up here. You know what I mean? That's one of her favorite things. I don't know what it is about the Leafs. It must be a numbers thing, like a population thing. I mean, you love them. Clark loves them. Jamie said he's pulling for the Leafs to go to the Stanley Cup. Clearly, everybody on TSN is. Mike Johnson is. Biznasty is. I'm just not. Why? I don't know why I'm always the contrarian, I guess. Somebody's got to cheer against them. But you must get the sense that I guess they're Canada's team. Are they legitimately Canada's team of hockey?
They might be, and the thing about the Leafs now is that over the last few years, I find that the group maybe is starting to turn the corner in terms of being a more likable franchise. There was a period there. I mean, they were, I think, a fairly likable franchise in the late 90s, early 2000s when they had Pat Quinn and some veterans, and they were winning some games, and they had a real face with Matt Sundin on their roster. And then I think as they started moving into the 2000s and the later, 2010s, they weren't a very likable team. They had a lot of high-end guys, threw a lot of money around, didn't get the results. But now they've kept the core together. I think they're a little more likable, this group. I think the population's a big part of it. And I think now, because of the struggles they've had in the last 6 years and the amount of times they've taken it on the chin, I think they're almost a little bit of an underdog story, which is a weird thing to say about a team that's been near the top of the league in the regular season the last, 5 or 6 years.
It's a very intriguing story. My thing is, I don't hate the Leafs. If they win the Stanley Cup, I've told you this, I'll be as happy as anybody. Their fans are somewhat annoying, and it's not yourself or Clark, present comedy excluded, but I've never lived in Toronto, obviously stayed there in hotels and so forth on road trips and that, but like Jamie Macoun said, I can't imagine, and I'm pointing to the couch where Jamie was, I can't imagine what it's like. He's saying it's more intense in Toronto than it is in Calgary with regards to the NHL team, and I find it incredibly intense here. I can't imagine what it's like in Toronto for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it's another thing, one of those things that's never going to change. Like, if that is costing them being Stanley Cup champions, and I still don't know how it could. I don't know how it could. How could that hurt the team on the ice? I don't get it. But they say that it is, so I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to pause for a second and just update the poll question today for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center. Who is the GOAT of Canadian men's curling? And we're getting roasted for Gushu being spelt wrong, so whomever put this up, shame. For Capital Automall Universal Collision Center, Brad Gushu, Randy Furby, Kevin Martin, or the Richardsons. 51% saying Brad Gushu. 34% saying Kevin Martin, 11% saying the Richardsons, 4% saying Randy Furby, and a lot writing in for Russ or Glenn Howard. If we'd put the Howards, they'd probably be running away with it. But again, I say this as respectfully as I can, but Darren, I was told years ago, the more curling talk you give, the more curling talk they want, and you're never going to do it right. Good enough for them. That's the thing.
I know.
Right, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that. Just never satisfied. Interesting, Craig, our director of scouting, Craig Smith, says, I was a Leafs fan until the Jets came in. Was so happy when they won the Cup in 1967. Yes, 67. I'm that old.
Yes.
Where's John Ohm, by the way? Colin in Ottawa writes in, he says, there are so many Leaf fans around, Rod, even here in Ottawa. I hate seeing the blue and white in our home arena, but so many live here and so many travel because our games are cheaper than in Toronto.
Bingo!
That makes a lot of sense. Again, I'm in no way anti-Leaf, but it's a good thing because, again, not everybody can cheer for the Leafs. Seems like everybody else does. So you're going to have them. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes and he says, no love for Pat Ryan? Yeah, that's a no, dog. And I want everybody to remember this, Darren. Just the talk of the fall being the best time for sports. I'm not saying it's not. But right now is an insane amount of things going on. And forget the fact that the NFL's not even playing and they're #1 on SportsCenter. Or at least they were the other night when the Chicago Bears traded the #1 overall pick. Think about that for a second. They're in their off season and they're leading SportsCenter. Like, wow. Not that I'm having any trouble keeping up. I'm doing just fine. Like when I'm not traveling, I can keep my eye on pretty much everything. But what is your focus? I feel like it's NHL.
It is. It's the NHL playoff races for me. That's the focus. But you're right. Like last week, incredibly tough. And then you're trying to follow the XFL, what's going on there, NFL free agency. Baseball isn't just playing Grapefruit League action. It's playing meaningful games with the World Baseball Classic, right? The tournament going on right now. And the Brier and the Scotties that just happened, especially in Canada. And now March Madness is starting. Like, this is enough to have steam coming out your ears, man. It is wild.
I know. But it's what's great for shows like this, and I'll say it again. I was stopped in a gas station on the way out here on Sunday, and you know who it was that asked me because I told you. Very well-known guy, and he said, Rod, do you ever see yourself going back to play-by-play and working for one team? And I was literally, no, why? We're having way too much fun, and we're able to talk about everything. Why lock yourself down to one thing? Kevin, the medium, writes in, and he says, I'm with you, Rod. Can't bring myself to cheer for the Leafs. And again, not anti-Leaf. And I will say this, in the heyday of Ron and Don, and I'm coming to a point here, Ron McLean and Don Cherry, I always said, the Stanley Cup playoffs are better when the Leafs are in them. And this is when Pat Quinn was coaching the Leafs. So Sundin was still playing right at that time, and I think Cujo in goal.
Yep.
Stanley Cup playoffs are better when the Leafs are in them because Hockey Night in Canada just makes a bigger deal out of it. When the Leafs aren't in the playoffs, literally Hockey Night in Canada acts like they don't care. And the other thing is, because it's not the Leafs. And the other thing is, I said to Jamie, said it on the air, but I'll say it again here too. Don Cherry's Grapevine. You weren't even born yet. None of our staff was. But he had a bar in Hamilton, Don Cherry's Grapevine, and every Saturday, well, I don't know when they taped it, but it aired on Saturday on CBC. I think it was CBC. You guys tell me, the older people. And Don would bring in NHL guys, current players, former guys, and just sit there and interview them for an hour. And I would sit there in front of the TV in the farmhouse living room and just watch it all. Loved it.
Yeah.
And there is nothing, even off the record on TSN wasn't like that. They became more, and I've been on that show. Shoot, the day I was on there, they had a book writer and a guitar player from this band, and I just want the sports stories.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it.
I know. And it is really awesome. I mean, the thing about the Leafs being in the playoffs and Don Cherry and covering it, it's a different animal when the team in your market is on. I mean, CBC is downtown Toronto, right? And when there's a vibe in the city, then the vibe carries into the show. That's why, playoff time, when we were in Calgary, this show has a different vibe when there's playoff hockey in the market, right? Even when we're covering the rest of the league. It's why when we were in Saskatchewan, the CFL mattered more when the Riders were in it and they were playing well and in the playoffs. When they weren't, it's really hard to get that vibe of what's going on in another market. You can fake it, but it's not quite the same, right, as when the team's happening in your market.
All right. Jennifer from the Four Seasons has checked in, an Oilers fan, and she says, good morning, all. I'm watching on Game Plus today. That means she's obviously at home. Happy to have you, Jen. Thanks. How about those Oilers?
How about
Ted
that?
in Red Deer says the Leafs are the most loved and hated team in Canada. Quite a trick, to say the least, in my opinion. It really is, isn't it? But as a Dallas Cowboys fan, I also get it. The Cowboys are that. They are America's team. They're the #1 team in the NFL, loved and hated. Troy in Toronto says, why does everyone hate the Leafs? Our team has sucked for so long. You people should actually feel sorry for us. We now finally have a good team, and you just can't be happy for us. And then he gives the smiling, nervous emoji. That's funny, Troy. The reason is, and I get it, I have everything, people are the same. It's just to scale. They're the same wherever you go. When I was with the Regina Pats, God's team, the world's oldest junior hockey team, our media market was the Toronto of junior hockey. It was referred to as such, but we were hated in all these other towns like Swift Current and Moose Jaw and to a certain degree Yorkton, because what's on the television there? CTV Regina. What's the newspaper they get? The Leader Post Regina. It was always Pats, 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 crammed down their throat. And they're like, we have our own team. From a Pats perspective, I'm like, what are we supposed to do about that, bub? It's not our fault. And that's the Leafs. They're in the they're in the New York of Canada, and we get it pumped down our throat every single. Troy, that's the thing. Have you ever lived anywhere but Toronto? I think that's the thing that we all have an issue with, is there's this big old country out there outside the Golden Horseshoe that you guys don't even know is there. And it annoys a lot of people. I'm over it. But that's people directed at the hockey team. Anyways, Moose, are you coming back for overtime, or are you done? You tell me.
I am done today.
Okay. Great work. Thanks for coming on. See you tomorrow.
Enjoy the buffet, man.
I can't wait. Having it for lunch. We're going to New York next. SiriusXM NFL Radio. Zig Fracassi joins us. We're live on Game Plus Television, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and WQEE The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersenshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
It's March, it's madness! Capital GMC Buick Cadillac has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Capital has Sierra 1500s with rates starting as low as 1.49%. Over 400 new vehicles in stock. Or drive away in a GM certified pre-owned vehicle. They all come with a 150 plus point inspection and a 3-month warranty. It's March, it's madness! On now at Capital GMC Buick Cadillac, Saskatchewan's #1 GM retailer, capitalgmc.ca. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
What a beautiful day in beautiful Calgary, Alberta. It's our first at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination. Our spring residency begins now, talking sports with a twist. And we welcome from SiriusXM NFL radio right now, the great Zig Fracassi. I feel like I talk to him every day because I listen to him every day. Ziggy, welcome to the show, and I have some topics to get to with you. Hey,
I just twisted with you, Rod.
Attaboy. I like it. I like it. Zig, let's start with your Boston Bruins. The question is, can anybody beat them, man? How are you feeling about their Stanley Cup chances with your favorite NHL team?
I would say they're pretty darn good right now, Rod. But again, it's how they finish. Everybody's harping on, well, they got the 50 wins. That's the fastest in league history and everything like that. You know, they looked a little bumpy this weekend against Detroit, who, by the way, I think is an ascending team, which they will get to the playoffs next year. But back to Boston, you know, you're still trying to assimilate the new parts in. It looks as though Hathaway and Orlov have blended in very well, and then now they're trying to work in Tyler Bertuzzi. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic going forward, how they juggle their defense going forward, too, because even though Lindholm was out yesterday, he's going to stay in there as is McAvoy and Orlov. So now you got to shuttle the regular guys in. So right now, indications are they look very good. I still think, though, it's one of these things where, you know, the focus has got to stay where it is. Don't look too far ahead. And you know what, Rod? 16's the only number that really matters right now.
Yeah, that's wins in the playoffs. And to be honest, I gotta, we brought Zig on to talk NFL, but I'm not done with the NHL.
Sure.
Could you imagine a Vegas-Boston Stanley Cup final? Which EA Sports simulated a couple years ago. Bruce Cassidy versus the Boston Bruins. All of America would be engaged in that. We know, we would be in Canada. What a story that would be. Could happen.
It would be something, and you got to give Butch a lot of credit for the job that he's done in Las Vegas, especially with their goaltending situation being in flux as it is, but that has settled down. It looks like Eichel's finally healthy, and you know, they're playing some very good hockey. They've had a good East Coast swing here. So, yeah, I mean, that would really be something. Cassidy did a hell of a job in Boston, but I think it turned out that some of the players were tuning him out. There's no question. And Jim Montgomery, late to the Dallas Stars, late of Denver, and by the way, won a national championship as head coach there. Actually won one, Rod, as a player at Maine in the early 1990s. Guy knows how to win. He's overcome adversities. I think both teams have thrived this year.
Absolutely. He's a winner all the way, as my friend John Frenzy would say. Well, switching to the National Football League, I think it was officially announced today by the Dolphins, or maybe late last night, the Jalen Ramsey trade, and they're excited in Miami, obviously, where, as I've spent the last 6 months, it's all Dolphins all the time. But I've got people saying that Ramsey's best days are behind him. This isn't that big of a deal. The Dolphins sending tight end Hunter Long to L.A. and a third-round pick this year. What's your thoughts on this trade?
You know, there is, I think, some validity to that. If you watched the Rams last year, there were instances where you saw number 5 get a little bit more burnt, if you will, than normal. But still, he's still young enough, Rod, where I think he makes an impact. It's clear he wanted to be in Miami. It's clear that's where his agent wanted him to be. So give Chris Brier, the GM, a lot of credit for swinging for the fences, because obviously, you know, the year before they brought in Tyreek Hill. So they've added some brand names to that defense. So to me, it's pretty evident that they're in a win now mode. Interesting move by them to pick up the 5th-year option on Tua, considering his recent injury history. So they're in a win mode now. And this, for the Los Angeles Rams, Rod, they got to clean some more house, because they're well over the cap. They've got no draft picks in terms of anything relevant here the next few years. Remember, they traded the windfall to get Matthew Stafford from Detroit. So right now, I think they're in a mode where they're trying to kind of recoup the assets that they gave up. And to me, it looks like more of a rebuild than anything with the LA Rams. But with Miami, it's clear they're trying to win right now.
Which is awesome for their fans, because they haven't won in a very long time. We have a lot of Packers fans that watch this show. Well, this is actually a New York Jets fan that's written in. Colin in Ottawa says, when the heck is Aaron Rodgers going to make a decision on if he'll join my Jets or retire? Free agency starts tomorrow, and our GM needs to know his cap space to sign players. Where are you on that Aaron Rodgers situation, Zig?
Well, we discussed it on the show yesterday, Alex Marvez and I, and, you know, it became one of these things where we're almost on Aaron watch now. Of course, I think it was over the weekend, he played some kind of flag football game and wound up being interviewed by former Jets receiver Brandon Marshall for his I Am Athlete podcast. And I think Brandon actually wanted to scoop the story. When's going to happen? And Aaron says, decision's coming soon. So you got to think that probably within the next few days, you got to at least have the courtesy to let the Jets know, and probably even the Packers know, of what the intentions are. Just surmising that conversation, Rod, I didn't hear a whole lot of enthusiasm from Aaron about, you know, maybe possibly joining the Jets, saying it was a nice conversation that he had with Woody Johnson and Jets management. In other words, it didn't really sound like he was overwhelmingly thrilled. And then from the Packers standpoint, Rod, I don't know if you saw the clips of Mark Murphy's interviews with the Green Bay TV stations. And of all things, a girls' high school tournament there in Green Bay. And a couple of times, Rod, he referenced Aaron in the past tense. So from my perspective, that sounds like they're ready to move on with the Jordan Love era in Green Bay. I think we got to have a decision within the next couple of days. Already, too, on free agency, boy, some big dollars being delved out. Javon Hargrave of the Eagles goes to the Niners. Mike McGlinchey, former Niner, goes to Denver, among a couple of the big early free agent moves that were tweeted out today by those NFL insiders.
Yeah, Mark Murphy, by the way, the president of the Green Bay Packers, and I could see why they would be over Aaron Rodgers. There's all good things come to an end. I just don't know what we're waiting for. Jeff in Winnipeg writes in and says, Aaron Donald's looking around the Rams defensive room saying, where did everybody go? Hey, that's the way teams are being run now, Zig. I don't have a problem with you. It's credit card money they spent to win a Super Bowl, and they did it. There's some pain there now. I think any team would do that if you knew you were going to get a championship out of it.
See, and that's the thing. And you know, everybody cracked down Jerry Jones for the comments he made about building the Cowboys, where basically he says, I don't want to be like an LA or Philadelphia. In other words, all in, and then you pay for the damage a little bit later on. So, but in the Rams case, Rod, they cashed in. They got their championship. So I imagine if you're a fan, you're probably like, all right, they went all in. We knew this was going to be coming. So that's the harsh reality. Philadelphia now, they, like I mentioned with Hargrave leaving, they may lose a couple of more players, and they may take a step back this year. So if you're all in, if you're a fan, you've got to be appreciative of that. But then you also got to know that there's going to be a price for being all in. And if you risk it and win, that's great. But even if you lose, at least you took the shot. But now here comes the pain of some rebuilding that I think the Rams are closer to than contending at this point.
But again, they've got the championship. You and I are both Cowboys fans, and I go back
and
forth
while.
on Jerry, but Jerry's not going to fire himself, so it's easy for Jerry to say that. Jerry can't get fired. Whereas with the Rams, these guys are going to be gone. Sean McVay almost walked after this year, right? There is a difference, Zig.
Oh, sure there is. You know, and, you know, you got to wonder, although I think McVay and the GM there, Les Snead, probably bought themselves a few years. And I'm sure the Crocky ownership, Rod, was on board with all of this. So they knew that the proverbial pain was going to be coming. And with the Cowboys, too. I mean, hey, they aren't that far. They really aren't. Another 12-win season. No. They ended that road losing streak in the playoffs. Hell, it was Brady's last game. They finally beat him, for goodness sake. And then they were in it largely against the 49ers. They were largely in that game before the Niners' ground attack really took over. But, you know, we'll see what happens there with Dak. They got to get some weapons around him, and he's got to stop throwing some interceptions.
We got a quick one from Ted in Red Deer. Wants to know who you think will be the #1 overall pick in the draft.
Ooh, that's a good question from Ted. Currently the Carolina Panthers have that pick. Of course, they have Whopper trade with the Bears. And Rod, of course, there's a lot of noise that the Panthers may actually trade it back. You know, maybe in other words, that rationale may mean they're looking at another guy they think they can get with the, I don't know, say second or third pick, and then try to swap that out. But I think in the final analysis, if they keep it at #1, Frank Reich, the new head coach down there, likes his big athletic quarterbacks. My hunch is it's Stroud, C.J. Stroud from Ohio State.
There you go. You heard it here. #1 overall pick in the NFL, Connor Bedard.
How about
oh,
that?
wait.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong league. Zig, love chatting with you. Love listening to you. I appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Hey, got to keep up with the world traveler here. Anytime, Pete.
All right, the great Zig Fracassi, SiriusXM NFL Radio. And I thoroughly enjoyed listening to the Detroit Red Wings broadcast Sunday, driving out here with Kenny Cal and Paul Woods. That's satellite radio. It doesn't owe me a thing. We'll be right back with Overtime after this. Just me and you. So if you got comments or questions, get them in now. We're live on Game Plus Television, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and on your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, The Key.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
It's March. It's madness.
Capital Ford has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Save up to $7,000 on a brand new F-150. They have over 150 available right now. Or drive home in a new to you used vehicle. Plus, Capital Ford offers the highest guaranteed trade-in value, or they'll give you $500 cash. Get your hands on a new ride before they come to their senses. On now at Capital Ford. Visit CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
The SJHL raffle is underway with your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side, courtesy the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Tickets are available now until April 23rd, with the draw taking place live on SJHL Insiders April 27th. 1 for 25, 3 for 60, or 10 for 100. But there are only 5,000 tickets available. Get yours today at sjhlraffle.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
There you go. Good look at where we're at today. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino in Calgary, Calgary's entertainment destination. Make yourselves at home. By the way, if you're planning your summer getaway out here to the foothills, get a hold of the Grey Eagle now. Very busy spot, very busy right now as we speak. Overtime's brought to you by the Four Seasons Sports Palace, your home for the UFC and the National Hockey League. As I mentioned, it's just you and me here in OT. We started this show way back in the warm-up talking about this fun little thing that the Score put out. And I just overheard Clark and Darren talking about it. Thought I would transfer it to the show. What movie title best describes your NHL team's season? And as I said, Dazed and Confused works for everything. Clark's Leafs, it's Groundhog's Day. Do you have that in front of you, Clark, by the way? I know Darren did.
It was Darren's thing.
Oh, it was Darren's. You wouldn't even know where to find it. Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah. Grant in Edmonton writes in, and he says, he's watching on Game Plus TV. He says, the Oilers movie would definitely be the good, the bad, and the ugly. McJesus and Leon, the good. Defense, the bad, and goaltending, the ugly. How about that?
How about that?
Troy in Toronto, I'll get to your comment in a second. He asked me to bang the gong for John Ohm, who is in here today. He is a day one guy, Clark tells me. There are a few of them left. Jeff in Redmond, Oregon, watching. He's a Seattle Kraken fan out there, and he says, the Seattle Kraken movie, The Invisible Man. Hockey analysts seem to skip over the Kraken like they don't exist.
Spicy.
What I'm going to work, yeah, right. Thank you, Clark. What I'm going to work on here in my time in Calgary, staying at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, is really working on just letting the comments go in one ear and out the other, because in my other career, recovery coach, sober coach, mental health advocate, you try to really listen to people and hang on to what their problems are. But in the sports world, you can't listen to anybody or what their problems are. The Seattle Kraken have been in the NHL for 5 minutes. So no. What's the breaking news, Clark? Tell me. Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Las Vegas Raiders. How about that? Man, you got to love the live sports talk where you're getting all the breaking news. That's faster than your phone can get it to you. WQEE and Game Plus. Twisted Mike writes in. Twisted Mike is his name. On the 902 line, he's clearly watching on Game Plus TV, and he says, I'm a Red Wings fan. I can't think of a movie for them. I don't watch much NHL because I'm clued in on the WHL. Don't even know the whole Red Wing roster. Never watch the NHL on Saturday night because it's always Leafs. He goes on to say, hopefully Connor Bedard doesn't go to Montreal. And Mike goes on to say, I think he'll be back next year in the WHL. Nope. He's going to the show, baby. And I would say I was witness to a bit of a debate between some friends of mine about Connor Bedard versus Connor McDavid. And one friend was saying, Bedard's going to be better than McDavid. And, of course, the other guy's saying, not a chance. What are you talking about? It was an interesting debate. The guy's got better junior numbers than McDavid had with worse line mates, and he's shattered everybody's records at the World Juniors, so there's no reason to think he won't be better than Connor McDavid in the NHL. It's a very fun debate that, quite frankly, I was happy to just stand back and watch, not getting in these fights. Regarding Don Cherry's Grapevine, not the radio show Grapeline, but the Grapevine television show from the 80s, Dave in Niagara Falls, Ontario, writes in, and he says, Don Cherry was on CHCH. Have a nice day. Right, but that's Hamilton only, and this was national television. I'm not saying you're wrong, but, of course, I was 10. I was 10. I wasn't paying attention to what channels were on what. If that's what it was, good for them. But I always thought that's the kind of show I'd like, is like Don Cherry's Grapevine. And a day like today with Jamie Macoun and the friends that we're going to trot through here over the next several weeks is exactly what I've always wanted to do since I was a little kid. Sports update before we run. It's a light night in the NHL with only 3 games on the schedule, 2 of them, though, involving Canadian teams. Last minute of play in the RP show. The Leafs, coming off that win over the Oilers Saturday, host the Buffalo Sabres. They've lost 4 in a row. Montreal Canadiens host the Colorado Avalanche. In the third game, the Seattle Kraken. Remember them? We're talking about them. They entertain the Dallas Stars. And that's all we'll say, other than Alabama's the #1 seed going into the NCAA tournament, March Madness, after cruising through the end of a season clouded by a murder case. Kansas, Houston, and Purdue grab the other top seeds. March Madness coming your way. This sports update brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In theaters now, John Wick 4, starring Keanu Reeves. John Wick takes on his most lethal adversaries yet in the upcoming 4th installment of the series. John Wick 4 in Landmark Cinemas now. Thanks to Jamie Macoun, Zay Fracassi, and you. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, 10 Mountain, here on Game Plus TV and WQEE.
Who has more fun than us?